Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores. Sorry I'm so late. I just got home very recently. I had to get together all of these clips and notes that we're going to dive into. Of course, we're here to dive into all of the clips. We're going to break everything down from the Commanders 2025 mandatory minicamp practice day 2 that just went down today, Wednesday, June 11th. We have a lot of things to talk about. And this time, compared to yesterday's breakdown, well, technically it came out earlier this morning, we have at least something to talk about with every single position group. Of course, some of the bigger headlines: Noah Brown carted off of the field. That's some bad news, but we also have a lot of great news as well. Jeremy Reeves just got a 1-year extension. I know a lot of people were looking for extensions out here. Jeremy Reeves wasn't the first one that came to mind, but it's still congratulations to Jeremy Reeves. We're going to dive into that. Also, Ben Sinnott and Jordan McGee are apparently stepping up big time right now and separating themselves for a lot of from the other second-year guys. Also, Marshawn Lattimore looks like he's back in his prime. He explains why he had such a down year last year. I don't think his excuses. I actually really believe him. I think it's pure facts. But either way, we're going to dive into all of that and more. But before we do, make sure you stiff on that like button, stiff on the subscription button, and stiff on the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video. And now, let's go ahead and get into this video immediately. Let's get it. Adam. And again, just a heads up, I have at least something to talk about with every single position group, so I'm super excited about this one, especially compared to yesterday where we didn't have anything to necessarily say about the linebackers and safeties. Now we at least have one thing to mention for everybody. Even there was like a report, and we're going to get into that later, that the whole defense was just more amped today. They had more energy. They were louder, all kinds of stuff. So I'm super excited to get into it. But before we even get into what happened during practice and at practice, the Commanders signed special teams ace, all-pro Revo, Jeremy Reeves, one of the NFL's highest paid at his position, to a 1-year extension. He's now under contract with the team through 2026. And this team signed him to a 2-year deal in 2024, and he played throughout that year. He had one more year left in his contract, and they decided, let's go ahead and add another one right there to the end so that he signed through 2026. That's pretty interesting, and that's very high praise from the Commanders coaching staff and front office to even feel like it was necessary to get that done. But shouts out to JP Finley, because I completely agree. He said, this is great. A guy that really earns it every single day. I completely agree, man. And again, it's not the extension that everybody was hoping for, of course, but it's still a very positive move for the Commanders, and I'm really happy to see it. Of course, everybody's waiting for the Terry extension. Some are even waiting potentially for a Laramie Tunsil extension, but I'm happy that Jeremy Reeves got his money. Shouts out to Commanders Muse, because when he tweeted the fact that the Commanders signed Jeremy Reeves to a 1-year extension, he said the special teams ace is now the highest paid at his position. Adam Schefter said one of the highest paid, but Commanders Muse said that he is the highest paid special teams ace in the NFL. I'm not exactly sure which one it exactly is, but either way, he's making great money for what he does, and he earned it. He deserves it. Speaking of deserving it, shouts out to Al Galdi. He pointed out the fact that Jeremy Reeves initially signed with Washington back in 2018 as a practice squad player. He was cut by Washington in the cut down to 53 in 2019, 2020, and 2021. Now he signs a 1-year contract extension through 2026, what would be his 9th season with the team. He is a true NFL survivor and a special teams warrior. I completely agree. Shouts out to Ref the District. They broke it down by year. In 2018, waived by Philly, signed to the Washington practice squad, only active for 2 games. 2019, waived, signed to the practice squad, 9 games active. That's it. We're not talking about played in. We're talking about active, like able to play in. 2020, waived, then signed to the practice squad again, 9 games active. 2021, waived, signed to the practice squad, only 5 games active. I mean, a lot of people would feel like it's time to give up. This is only going downward trajectory-wise. And then 2022, he comes in and is first team All-Pro. Then 2023, setback. Remember, he tore his ACL. Then in 2024, he went and signed a 2-year deal. Then in 2025, he got the 1-year extension. Let's get it, Reeves. But it's interesting because if you remember, Joe Witt Jr. just mentioned last week they're trying to find ways to get him more involved on defense as well. He's a special teams ace, an all-pro guy there. And I feel like that's the majority of the reason why they were like, man, let's go ahead and have him sign through 2026, because this is just an all-star player that we don't want to lose. Even if it's just special teams, we got to keep him around. He's so impactful there. But at the same time, Joe Wood Jr., I don't know what's been going on in early voluntary OTAs, phases 1, 2, and 3, but he said last week that we may need to find a way to get Jeremy Reeves involved on defense because he just keeps making plays. So now maybe he's starting to emerge as a player that can play as an actual safety on the defensive side of the ball on Sundays in regular season and maybe even postseason games, which is interesting because we already had that experiment years ago and he looked pretty good that one year, and then other years it didn't look as good, and then since then he's pretty much only been a special teamer. But Joe Wood Jr. is saying, I don't know, man, maybe there's something here to that, and maybe there's a reason, maybe that played a part in why they extended him another year through 2026. And Dan Quinn even spoke on it after the extension happened. He said, quote, "That makes me smile. A true commander affects all sides of the ball. The performance side, you feel him." Unquote. And I agree, man. It definitely brought a smile to my face when I saw Jeremy Reeves got that extension. He said he's an all-around BMF. And then Jeremy Reeves also spoke on it. He said, quote, "It's nice to be wanted and to feel like what I do matters," unquote. I love that. That just makes me want to root for him even more. Here's a 29-second clip of him talking about it right here.
It's a blessing, man. Like, I think of, when I first got here and everything that I went through, all the tough days I went through. I got a chance to talk to, AP and DQ before practice and just tell them, like, man, it's nice to just be wanted, and feel like what I do matters, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just filled with gratitude, man. I was just talking to some of the young guys and telling them, like, if you take anything from me, just understand that the turtle does win the race.
Now moving on to injuries, because we have some major updates for sure. Starting with the fact that Noah Brown was carted off of the field at some point in practice today. He went down during 7-on-7s. He threw his helmet after being helped to the sideline, and that's never a good sign. When people throw that helmet, that sounds like it's pretty much cooked. I'm going to be optimistic and glass half full about this, but it does not sound good. Ben Standig reported that Noah Brown was carted off of the field following a catch to the ground. He stayed down for a few extra beats, then slowly walked to the sideline on his own, and then was carted to the building. That does not sound good. And again, he slammed his helmet. That helmet slam, never ever a good sign. Shouts out to Surge the Shooter, because I agree. He said one injury away from a shaky room now. Noah Brown shakes up things if this injury is serious. I mean, our outside wide receiver situation definitely could get ugly if Noah Brown is out for an extensive period of time. And now, granted, Luke McCaffrey's development into an impactful player is even more vital now than it was before the Noah Brown injury earlier today. But then again, honestly, I really hope that we didn't go into this season depending on Noah Brown and expecting him to be healthy all season. He's a nice guy to have around. I think he's a true wide receiver too, but we've already seen throughout his career with Dallas and the Texans, he's just a guy that doesn't play full seasons ever. He didn't give us a full season last year. He was hurt on and off, and then he had the severe injury that took him out for the rest of the season for like the last 5 or 7 games or something like that. So I hope we're never going into seasons depending on Noah Brown, but I really like him. We've been seeing a lot of good things about him so far this offseason. A second year in the Cliff Kingsbury system. I think he was going to take his game to another level. Remember, this is the guy that before he got hurt and had to miss the rest of the season last year, up to the point that he got hurt, he was leading the NFL, leading all wide receivers in forced pass interference penalties on defensive backs. Like, that is a really useful tool to have. Jaden Daniels just chuck it 60 yards down the field, pass interference, we get a 60-yard penalty, well in range to score. Noah Brown, man, is really helpful. The nuance, the blocking and everything. Like, he was the reason we scored a couple of touchdowns just from his blocking alone. So he will be missed, but again, I just really hope they already just knew going into the season, we can't depend on Noah Brown to be available for 17 games, and I'm pretty sure they weren't. But at the same time, you also have an update that wide receiver Michael Gallup is dealing with a hamstring strain right now, per sources, and wasn't on the field for minicamp yesterday or today. And mind you, there was a report that he may have even missed some of the voluntary OTAs because of this hamstring injury, so it's not sounding good. Sounding like something that's been lasting for a while. It may last even longer. We'll see, though. But shouts out to Mark Tyler. It's cold, but it's true. He said staying healthy has been an issue for Michael Gallup. He took a year off, he literally retired, and is still getting hurt. Is not a good look. I'm rooting for him, but like I told a lot of y'all, man, even fully healthy Michael Gallup, I don't think is a lock to make the roster. I'm rooting for him to make the roster. He's one of the very few guys on this entire roster that has had a 1,000-yard season before in his career. So of course I want Michael Gallup to ball out and make this team, but I'm just not really even sure of it, even if he is 100% healthy, and right now he's not even 100% healthy. And then also, just to let you know, today was a planned veteran rest day for Laramie Tunsil, Zach Ertz, and Daron Payne. Not Bobby Wagner, though. Not Frankie Louvu, not some of these other top veterans on the team. So that was interesting, because immediately I thought, wait a minute. Laramie Tunsil just pulled up. He came in and practiced one time, one day. This was the first time this entire offseason that he ever practiced with the Commanders, and he already gets a veteran day off? Like, how did he even earn that? I know he's a veteran, but he didn't meet the other requirements of practicing several times and needing a break. This guy practiced one day. Veteran days off the next day is insane, especially when guys like Bobby Wagner and our entire offensive line outside of Laramie Tunsil are all practicing. That's pretty crazy. Then moving on to the coaches, Commanders head coach Dan Quinn said at this stage, the team is really getting into coaches putting in their systems in place and all of that, so that players can hone in on isolated skills that are needed for the group to succeed. I like that. So we went from just kind of working on, we're just practicing, we're just keeping our conditioning up, we're trying to gain some chemistry, gain some communication. Now we're starting to work on a little bit of install stuff. Like, this is exactly, as a DBs coach, I need my defensive backs to do. As an offensive lines coach, I need my offensive linemen to do this, and so on and so forth for every position group, and I like that. And then Dan Quinn also mentioned that over 100 high school coaches were present at practice today. That's really cool, man. As you can see on the screen right now, apparently at today's minicamp, the Commanders hosted 150 high school football coaches to watch Dan Quinn and his staff lead a practice in Ashburn. That is beautiful. That is something that's not required that they have to do at all. I mean, just that extra step to help develop more talent, more coaching prowess just in the area alone. I think that's fantastic. I'm gonna need Georgia to start doing this with a lot of Georgia high school coaches as well, so we can develop our high school and middle school talent even better as well. Shouts out to Dan Quinn for that one. And then he also spoke on it right here. Here's a whole clip of it, and it's a 40-second clip. So if you're not interested, just go ahead and skip ahead 40 seconds.
Off the field, there's such an impact that high school coaches have. It's way bigger than football. And I recognize that because that's true in high school. It's also true in college. And so I wanted them to know how important that role is and how much I respect it of what they do. Then from the football side, I want them to see the techniques and see things that we are teaching, and if we can do that and share that with them and help their programs become better, man, that's paying it forward. And so I'm really pumped. There's like over 100 coaches here today and some flag coaches as well. And so to have that kind of turnout quickly, that's really cool.
That's really cool, man. I ain't gonna lie. I love stuff like that, man. To just go the extra step, the extra mile, just to help enhance the community around you. Like that does nothing to benefit the Commanders necessarily. Maybe like super long term, one of those 150 guys will come in and be a really good coach for us way later down the line, like maybe 5-10 years from now. But that has nothing to do with this 2025 season. They literally just did that out of the goodwill of their hearts. But also, Dan Quinn pointed out the fact that safety Percy Butler, that's pretty much the first time I've heard his name mentioned all offseason, linebacker Jordan McGee, and tight end Ben Sinnott are a few of the young players that have really stood out this offseason so far, which is interesting because I've been starting to look at Percy Butler like, I don't know, this Final 53-man roster, I don't know. But Dan Quinn out here came and defended that man's name. He said several of the Commanders' second-year players specifically have really stepped up as leaders and shouted out Jordan McGee and Ben Sinnott for that part. He mentioned that Ben Sinnott and Jordan McGee are second-year guys that have really stood out this offseason. So that's interesting. Now, you already know Mike Sammerstill's balling. We don't even need to talk about him. You know Brandon Coleman's going to do his thing, and you already know Jaden Daniels. But apparently Ben Sinnott and Jordan McGee are the next in line to ball out. But then you're also hearing a lot of things about Luke McCaffrey having a great day. We'll get there soon. Now let's start with the quarterbacks. And first of all, I love this interaction right here with Jaden Daniels and Mike Sammerstill, man. You can tell that they have a really close bond, like for real, man. I just love how they're always joking around and having fun while still being productive. They're not just lollygagging, but in any in-between time or maybe after practice, you could tell that they really rock with each other. Remember, Mike Sarah still did that prank call viral thing where, you know, you call your friend and tell them goodnight and everything like that. And Jaden Daniels was like, what is going on? Are you okay? Like, what's wrong with you type of thing? And then Mike Sarah still even spoke about it after practice. Remember, they are the same draft class and they're building blocks for this franchise. I mean, this franchise, we win a Super Bowl, is going to have a lot to do with these two guys. And when asked about Jaden Daniels, Sarah still said, quote, whatever he needs, I'll be there for him. It's the bond that we've created. Here's a 30-second clip. If you want to skip that, skip ahead 30 seconds.
Jaden's my guy. Like you just said, you know, that's my brother right there.
Yeah.
And just, you know, the way we came in, we just want to make sure that, you know, we do everything we can to help this organization win. Outside of football, just he's a special dude, great character. You know, somebody that I view as, you know, like I said, a brother of mine. And just, you know, whatever he needs, I'll be there for him. And I can say the same about him. Just if I ever need anything, I know he got my back. So that's just the bond we've created. And like I said, that's just a great dude.
And then also right here, you have Jaden Daniels and Marcus Mariota throwing to Noah Brown and Deebo Samuel in this clip right here. I'm seeing some good passes. Keep working on that chemistry. Let's keep getting that up. And it looks like, I mean, that was a touchdown to Deebo Samuel pretty much in stride. So I'm liking what I'm seeing there. And then also, Linnell Willingham was at the practice today, and he said that at a certain point in practice, Jaden Daniels had a great pull on a zone read, kept it himself, and it would have been a house call for a touchdown if it was a real game scenario. Hey, man, Jaden Daniels starting to finally get them long touchdown runs off. That's going to be ridiculous, man. I need to scoop him up in as many fantasy leagues as possible. And then also you have this clip right here provided by George Wallace. Just 20 seconds of all four quarterbacks just working, catching the ball, like receiving it and then throwing it to the receivers and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Never complaining to see as much quarterback work, especially quarterback throws to the wide receivers. While we still have a lot of the receivers still trying to develop, like the younger guys, we have Deebo Samuel still working on gaining some chemistry with Jaden Daniels and things like that. And I like the fact that these routes intersect too. Like the wide receivers are kind of running through each other, past each other, around each other, which makes it a little bit more difficult for the quarterbacks to get them the ball. You know what I'm saying? There's some serious timing and accuracy required when running that drill. Instead of just quarterbacks just simply throwing to a wide receiver, no interruptions, I like the fact that they structured that drill that way. Now also moving on to the running backs. Dan Quinn talked about Brian Robinson and he said that, quote, he looks really healthy, unquote, and said that he's had a really good offseason so far. And that is great news, man. He said that he has seen the speed and agility, especially on one specific cut that happened yesterday, Tuesday, on the first day of mandatory minicamp practice. He said, quote, he's had a good offseason, which Robinson knows is key in a contract year. Let's get it, man. Brian Robinson, put up or shut up. It's time to work. And health is a real serious thing for him. He even said yesterday after practice in his press conference that, quote, I'm hell when I'm well, unquote. And I mean, as a guy that's really big on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I hope he blows up, becomes RB1. It's not like I'm just completely discarding Brian Robinson. I think he still has a strong role that he can have for this team. And I definitely really keep wanting to emphasize the fact that Brian Robinson, the first 8 weeks of season, is actually pretty good. It's just once he starts to get broken down, he gets too many touches, too many carries, too much damage put on him, too much mileage on him throughout a season. That's when his production starts to wane a little bit. And so that's why I also am really excited about Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, because we could take some carries away from Brian Robinson, keep him more fresh more often. I think he could be a really deadly asset for this offense for an entire 17-game season. It's just going to take for Ja'Cory to step up big time to, you know, help take away some of those carries, to demand Cliff Kingsbury put him on the field over Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler at times. But B-Rob, I really didn't want to show this clip because I know people are going to overreact over the fact that he dropped this pass wide open. It was like a little 2-yard screen and he just couldn't hold on, and I was afraid of showing this because I just didn't want people to just completely get on Brian Robinson and attack him for dropping that pass. But then again, you have this clip provided by Mitchell Tisler where Jaden Daniels throws a nice pass to Brian Robinson, and he not only catches it in stride, but he catches it with his hands like a wide receiver. So don't panic. He had that one drop that I showed you. Again, I'm trying to always be 100% transparent. I'm going to show you the bad with the good. I just feel like Brian Robinson already gets too much hate, so that's the only reason I was a little hesitant to upload that bad clip. But this good clip is really good. Like, that good clip, outweighs the bad of that drop. Now, of course, that drop is inexcusable. We cannot afford to have that at all at any point in the regular season or postseason. But, you know, a lot of running backs can't catch the ball like that. That was a really good catch for a wide receiver. Good job tracking it, catching it with his hands, not needing his body to bring it in. Brian Robinson is pretty underrated in the passing game. I'm telling you, as a receiver, really go back and watch Brian Robinson. He has some of his best moments as a receiver underneath catching the ball and making something shake. And I hope we can still keep him involved in that way. I hope everybody does a little bit of everything. And then also, Austin Eckler talked about his love for the DMV region and fan base. He said, quote, "The culture around football here is truly incredible. That's so special to have the community involved because we feel like we are together out here," unquote. And I love to hear that, man, because this is a guy that's coming from the Chargers, and they had some pretty good success while he was there, and he feels like this Commanders culture, this DMV area, really has a different feeling to it. Like, it's real football type of stuff. It's real winning going on out here. Now, moving on to the wide receivers, you have Deebo Samuel right here going in motion, catching a pass after he goes in motion. Now, of course, some people are pointing out that he looked a little slow doing it and things like that. I don't think he looked that slow. I think he looks pretty all right to me. I feel like if this camera view from Scott Abraham was zoomed out a little bit more, you probably could have seen it better. I don't think he was going as slow as people are accusing him of doing. But I mean, at the same time, we don't necessarily need him to be that fast, but he has some fast in him. Shouts out to Jahan OPOY on Twitter. He pointed out the fact that if anyone tells you that Deebo is slow now, just remind them that he reached his second fastest top speed of his NFL career this past season. Like, we're talking about 2024. But speaking of running full speed, shouts out to Luke McCaffrey, man, at the Commanders mandatory minicamp. He said, so apparently Michael Strahan had a really impressive catch through contact on a pass from Marcus Mariota. So, hey, man, that's another guy to watch out for. Right now, I'm predicting him to be in a drafted free agent, a practice squad type of guy. But hey, man, who knows, man? We have 6-7 spots and Noah Brown's injury. Hey, man, watch out for a guy like Michael Strahan. And remember, Chris Moore had a ridiculous catch yesterday that some people were saying was probably the catch of the day. And then also, shouts out to Natalie Spalla. She interviewed KJ Osborne and said that his smile really does speak volumes. You could tell he has lightness about him and is genuinely glad to be a part of this franchise. He said after a long year last year, he appreciates now getting the opportunity to understand and gel with his teammates. I feel like he was so bad last year because he just got brought in mid-season. Everything was already picking up steam. We were on the way to the playoffs and everything, and I just feel like he caught on late, and he just never really had the time. They never even had the time for him to like sit down and kind of baby him and to walk him through it. Okay, this is what we're doing on offense and things like that. Even though Noah Brown, we didn't sign him until like right before that week 1 game. They still gave him a couple of weeks of barely playing, and then he started to really emerge as a true weapon and threat in the offense, but it took him a little bit of time. Now, granted, it's taken KJ Osborne way more time, but I'm pointing that out because Noah Brown joined in still early in the season, like right before week 1. KJ Osborne got thrown into the fire like a double-digit weekend or something like that, and they just did not have the time to slow down for him. They were like, boy, you're going to have to catch up or get lost. And he got lost, and I'm hoping, now that we're in the offseason where everybody's taking things slow and everybody's getting a chance to catch up, I think KJ Osborne may emerge as a true threat of making the final 53-man roster. And also, shouts out to Serge the Shooter because I agree. He said, we know that Jaden can look like Superman at times. That doesn't mean it's ideal, though. Still needs weapons to be weapons regardless of how good the quarterback is. I completely agree. Now, moving on to the tight end position, you have, Linnell Willingham pointed out the fact that, with Zach Ertz having a veteran rest day, it's time for a lot of the other tight ends, especially the younger guys, Ben Sinnott and John Bates, to step up, or even some of the guys that are on the outside looking in as far as making the final 53-man roster, like Tyree Jackson and things like that, who apparently had a pretty good day and made some good plays yesterday. But Dan Quinn, like I talked about earlier, pointed out the fact that Jordan McGee and Ben Sinnott are really starting to step up. So, hey, man, Zach Ertz finally has a rest day, and Ben Sinnott probably took full advantage, even though I'm hearing that Ben Sinnott, remember we talked about it last night, Ben Sinnott had a really good day yesterday when Zach Ertz was there. So with Zach Ertz not there, I'm pretty sure Ben Sinnott took full advantage. And of course, this is year 2 for Ben Sinnott. Remember in the preseason, he just couldn't be tackled. Yards after catch, demon. And so I'm expecting him to continue to develop and become a bigger part of the passing game. He's a really good blocker. All of our tight ends can block. That's really important for us. I can't wait for him to contribute in the passing game. But they even interviewed him after practice, and he weighed in and basically talked about like what Ben Sinnott year 2 looks like, and he talked about the coaching staff and how huge it is to have the same staff as last year. He said, quote, the standard that these guys hold, and it's a really high one, unquote. So I'm telling you, we've seen a common theme from a bunch of different players at a bunch of different random times, weeks ago, months ago, yesterday. Everybody just keeps bringing up the fact that the continuity in this coaching staff is really helpful for everybody's development and becoming a better player in their own right, their own position group and things like that. Now moving on to the offensive line, since Andrew Wiley is out there and Laramie Tunsil had a vet day out, Andrew Wiley was actually the one getting first team left tackle reps with Laramie Tunsil out. So in team drills, you have Andrew Wiley, I'm presuming, at left tackle, Brandon Coleman at left guard. You have center Tyler Biotish, of course, and then right guard is interesting. I'm assuming it's Nick Allegretti. If you have Andrew Wiley at left tackle, that leaves Nick Allegretti wide open to start at right guard for you until Samuel Cosme gets healthy. And again, this is only while Laramie Tunsil is not at practice that Andrew Wiley's starting at left tackle. I'm assuming he'll be your backup, really just offensive lineman, period. Swing tackle, guard if anything happens. But Josh Connolly is also the one apparently getting starting right tackle reps right now. So that's your 5 offensive linemen right there until Laramie Tunsil comes back. Andrew Wiley just starting left tackle. And Linnell Willingham also pointed out the fact that Connolly had a really nice pass set versus Jacob Martin, a situational pass rusher that basically is going to replace Dante Fowler exactly. Really, he's honestly a more athletic, higher ceiling, younger version of Dante Fowler that we brought over from the Bears this offseason. And Linnell pointed out the fact that Josh Connolly did a great job of like dropping his anchor and not allowing Jacob Martin to go anywhere. So Josh Connolly already, with just by his second mandatory minicamp practice of all time in his NFL career, already looking good against really seasoned veteran edge rushers, pass rushers specifically. And then you also have this clip right here. Just Josh Connolly working on some things, going through some drills and things like that. Man, I'm just so excited. Again, any footage that I can give y'all of Josh Connolly, even if it's something simple like this, where it's nothing we can really take away from it. I mean, I just love watching Josh Connolly work, man. He didn't erase Abdul Carter from a game. 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits, 0 pressures for no reason. So watching him just do anything is fantastic. Now moving on to the defensive side of the ball, shouts out to Chad Ricardo. He uploaded this clip while also pointing out the fact that the defensive energy and intensity was way up today at day 2 of Commander's mandatory minicamp. He said the unit was flying around. They were louder. They were more energetic, everything. I love to hear that. So shouts out to the defense for finally starting to get in that mode and hopefully developing some sort of an identity, because this is going to be a high-powered offense. I already feel like I'm with big confidence, a lot of confidence that this is going to be a top 5 offense in the NFL this upcoming season. So if this defense can hang with them, this defense is going to be something serious. Now moving on to the defensive line, the only update I have for you is that even though I just talked about earlier with Jacob Martin not having a good rep against Josh Connolly, even though it wasn't necessarily his fault, it was just Josh Connolly is already ready. He's already, I'm telling you, Pro Bowl right tackle loading. But Linnell pointed out the fact that Jacob Martin had a really good rush and later on in practice, really good pass rush, got right around the offensive lineman. Now, granted, he emphasized the fact that there are no pads, so blocking and pass rushing right now are a little weird. It's hard to really take anything concrete from them, but still, Jacob Martin looking like potentially a more athletic Dante Fowler that we got last year. And mind you, Dante Fowler had like 4.5, 5 sacks with Dallas before coming to the Commanders in 2024. He had 10.5. Jacob Martin had like 4.5, 5 sacks with the Bears last year. Now coming to the Commanders, is he going to follow in Dante Fowler's footsteps and get 10.5 sacks himself? Now moving on to the linebackers as well. Again, Dan Quinn pointed out the fact that Ben Sinnott and Jordan McGee are some of the second-year players that are really stepping up as leaders and being very productive this all season and really standing out. That's amazing. I'm telling y'all right now, Jordan McGee is going to be one of the biggest reasons why this defense takes a huge step forward. I'm telling you right now, the athleticism, his ability to cover is going to be so helpful. Remember, Joe Witt Jr. said like last week that they had literal like plays and packages designed around Jordan McGee being on the field and available. And so when he was hurt a lot last season, it really put our defense in a spiral of trying to play catch up and adjust to, now we're missing one of our centerpieces of our defense. I don't think people really understand how important Jordan McGee is to this defense. So I cannot wait for y'all to see it, especially once maybe we get a little taste of it in the preseason, but you'll definitely see it in the joint practices, and you'll definitely see it once we get to the regular season. And then also you have this clip right here. Frankie Louvu continuing to work with Ryan Kerrigan specifically on pass rush techniques, man. Shouts out to him, man. Let's get it. I like it. Again, I've already talked about this from like last week when he was working with Ryan Kerrigan and voluntary OTAs that, typically Frankie Louvu has just been rushing up the A gap or a B gap and like delayed blitzes and things like that. But now he's working with pass rush specialist coach Ryan Kerrigan on trying to learn how to pass rush from the outside against tackles. Frankie Louvu rarely went up against tackles that like knew before the snap is coming, before the ball is snapped, you're coming to go after my quarterback. Typically, it's been like, you know, the whole him and Bobby Wagner blitzing is like offensive linemen, maybe they're blitzing, maybe they're not, catch them off guard, run up the middle. But now they're trying to develop him into a guy that, again, the tackle knows you're coming towards him to get after his quarterback and is going to approach you and block you as such. Now Frankie Louvo has to develop an entire bag that he didn't need last year to get to 8 sacks. Now he's going to be working against tackles on the outside. So I know we didn't trade for Trey Hendrickson or get like Donovan Ezeraku or Mike Green in the draft. Maybe Frankie Louvo is that guy that's going to step up in that way. Also, moving on, shouts out to Bobby Wagner. Of course, it's year 14 for him. He said he's motivated, he's hungry, and he loves playing in Washington. He talked about why he came back for another season. He said, quote, I think it would be really cool to bring a championship here, and I really want to be a part of that, unquote. And not only does he want to, but if you come back and return to a team like this and say something like that, you're also more than likely thinking that y'all have a great chance to do it. He's probably really excited and thinks, hey man, this team can really be something. We can really make something shake this year. And then also talking about Jaden Daniels, he was very complimentary of him, talking about Jaden Daniels going into year 2 and how the NFL now knows what he's capable of, and that Jaden Daniels will basically be able to adjust to that, and he's not worried. He said, quote, Jaden Daniels is definitely hungry. I'm excited to see what he does. He's been putting in the work. He's going to be fun to watch again. And I just always love the bickering that they have going back and forth, like older brother, younger brother. They're always messing with each other, trolling each other and things like that. If you haven't seen that clip that the Commanders uploaded where they were asking people like their favorite Kendrick song, Jaden Daniels was trolling Bobby Wagner while he was trying to answer. It was like a few days ago. The Commanders did a thing where after practice, everybody like how old is old to you? Like what age is old? And most people said Bobby Wagner, and of course Bobby Wagner at the end of the clip was like, what do you mean? Like I'm not even like, I thought it was funny. He even pointed out the fact that there are other people on this team older than me. Why is everybody picking me? I thought that was hilarious. And of course Jaden Daniels was one of the main people trolling Bobby Wagner in that situation. But also, speaking of Bobby Wagner, he announced that he's working with the Children's National Hospital to improve stroke awareness to honor his mom. That is very cool. So shouts out to Wagner for that one for sure. Now moving on to the cornerback group, we got to talk about Marshawn Lattimore extensively. This is going to be one of the bigger deep dives that we do this entire video, because Marshawn Lattimore was interviewed after practice today, and he said that he finally feels like himself again out there on the field after dealing with a hamstring issue most of last season, basically. And he said the differences that he feels right now is, quote, just the burst and getting out of my breaks and feeling explosive. And then, I think I believe him, because he had a great pass breakup on a play earlier today where Jaden Daniels apparently threw an accurate ball to Noah Brown, but better play by Marshawn Lattimore. Good offense, better defense type of situation. Apparently Noah Brown had a fantastic inside out move on Marshawn Lattimore by the sideline. He was open, the throw was on target, but Lattimore recovered and made an aggressive play on the ball incomplete. That's the confidence and athleticism that we really, really need. It sounds like we got Pro Bowl corner Marshawn Lattimore that we traded for last year finally here. Sounds like we finally got the Pro Bowl corner that we traded for again. Marshawn Lattimore said that he was hurt last year but tried to push through it. He says that he feels explosive now and that his burst is finally back, basically insinuating that last year he was never 100%. He never had that burst and explosion, and now he does. He said that he was even timid last year after his hamstring injury. He played hurt because he felt like he had to prove to the Commanders that they made the right decision by trading for him. But now he's excited that he's fully healthy to show what he can do this year. And I love hearing that. I think that's a great reasoning. I don't think that's an excuse. I think that's an honest reason why Marshawn Lattimore looked the way he did last year. He also specifically said on the difference he feels, he said, quote, just the burst, getting out of breaks, I feel explosive, all of that type of stuff. I love to hear it, man. Shouts out to Big Doug, because I agree. He said getting anything close to prime Marshawn Lattimore would be huge for this defense. Shouts out to Chef Peters. He said Mikey Amos and a healthy Lattimore, man, we prayed for times like this. It could get spooky for other teams, man. I'm telling you right now. Then moving on to safety. Again, mind you, Dan Quinn pointed out the fact that Jordan McGee, Ben Sinnott, and safety Percy Butler are some of the younger guys that are standing out this offseason. I thought that was really interesting because, again, I was looking at Percy Butler like, I don't know, man. We have all of these really talented safeties and defensive backs right now. You even got my boy Tyler Owens over there. Jeremy Reeves getting a bigger role. Where do you fit in? But apparently he's making the right plays, so we'll see. Heavily competitive safety room right now. I'm really excited to hear that. Even though I was still going sign Justin Simmons, but that's just me. And then Kane Madrano apparently forced a fumble on Deebo Samuel at some point in practice today. It was picked up by Carlin Vickers, but there you go. The young 6th round rookie, who is probably the pick that excites the least amount of people out of all of the picks that we made in this draft. Even 7th round rookie that was taken around after him, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, people are more excited about him and ready to talk about him and hype him up even more than Kane Madrano. So I feel like he's the biggest unsung hero of this rookie class. And so to hear him out there making plays like that, forcing fumbles on Deebo Samuel, hey man, one day at a time, Kane Madrano. And I'm including him right now in the safety part just to let you know, not the linebacker part, because I think he projects more likely as like a Jeremy Chin replacement, or what a lot of y'all wanted in Nick Amawari. I think he's more like that than like a full-blown off-ball linebacker like a Frankie Louvu or a Bobby Wagner. That's just me though. But either way, I'm gonna talk about him in the safety parts of these videos until further notice, basically. And then lastly, before we get up out of here, special teams wise, again, Jeremy Reeves, man, the extension that he got, and he even said in a clip that's a minute long, he said it's a journey. Every day I'm working and building towards something, unquote. If you want to skip this 1 minute clip, just skip ahead 1 minute, but this is the end of the video.
Person, right? So I always set new goals and parameters for myself. I have them written down in my notepad. I did it before we started OTAs, and so that's what I'm working towards, right? It's a journey, right? And every day is just I'm building and working towards something, because at the end of the day, it not only helps me, but it helps our team.
Can you share any specifics about what you wrote?
Yeah, I got a couple out there. To be All-Pro again, to be a Pro Bowler again, just to earn my reps on defense. Those are a few that I have, and just having fun. I've reiterated to a bunch of these guys that I watched a movie called Bridge of Spies, and there was a quote in it that kind of stood out to me before OTAs. I feel like it was God's way of talking to me. He asked the guy when he was in jail, like, is there you were facing the death penalty, is there anything that you could, are you not worried? And the guy responded, he said, would it help? So, man, I've just applied that to my day-to-day, man. I'm not worried about my reps or where I'm at on the depth chart. I've gotten back to the kid in football again, man. I'm just enjoying and having fun.
But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you about everything discussed video. Please stiff on that like button, stiff on the subscription button, and stiff on the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, man. Shouts out to Jeremy Reeves. I'm so happy for him, man. That makes me feel really good that he got that extension, man, and the fact that he's so appreciative and everything like that. Dan Quinn loves him. I'm pretty sure the team was so hype. I'm pretty sure off camera they all celebrated with him, probably jumping up and down and throwing him around, hitting them and stuff like that. So shouts out to Jeremy Reeves, man. Let's get it. Of course, that doesn't mean that we've gotten a notification or an announcement that Terry McLaurin has signed his extension, but again, I'm still excited about Jeremy Reeves. And of course, let me know how you feel about everything talked about in this video. Luke McCaffrey potentially breaking out. Noah Brown, his injury sounds serious. Hopefully it's not. Marshawn Lattimore finally 100% fully healthy. Are we gonna actually get prime Pro Bowl level Marshawn Lattimore this year? I'm really excited about that. Also, the fact that Jordan McGee and Ben Sinnott are really stepping up as the second-year players that are really standing out, that makes me really happy. How do you feel about Deebo Samuel catching more passes from Jaden Daniels? We talked about so many things in this video. Let me know the things that interest you the most and that had you most excited, or the things that you're most worried about. Let me know if you agree, disagree, anything I said. Make sure you leave a like on the way out. There's going to be another practice tomorrow. I'll have y'all updated with those clips and analysis just like we did in this video, so stay tuned for that. And I appreciate y'all. Catch y'all later. I'm out.